I'm Mark, 35, a software engineer grinding away at a tech firm in downtown Chicago. My wife, Sarah, she's 32, a graphic designer who works from home, turning out these incredible designs that make you stop and stare. We've been married 7 years? High school sweethearts who made it through the awkward braces phase to a life most folks would call goals. We've got a cozy 3-bedroom in Naperville, a golden retriever named Buddy who's basically our kid, and neighbors who love our backyard barbecues. From the outside, we're that couple on Instagram with the perfect filter, smiling, happy, planning for a baby someday. But man, looks can lie. Let's rewind to where it all began. Me and Sarah go way back to sophomore year at Lincoln. Hi. I was the geeky kid coding clunky games on my beat-up laptop, dreaming of building the next big app. Sarah? She was the artsy girl, always sketching these mind-blowing landscapes in her notebook during lunch. I'd sneak glances at her in the cafeteria, her hair falling over her sketchbook, and one day, I don't know what got into me, I walked up and blurted out, "Want to go to prom with me?" She laughed, said yes, and that was it. Game over. Sparks flew, and we were glued at the hip. College at the University of Illinois was our playground. Late-night study sessions turned into pizza runs and stolen kisses in the library. We were that annoying couple who couldn't keep their hands off each other. After graduation, I proposed on a road trip to the Grand Canyon. Picture this. The sun's dipping low, painting the canyon gold and pink, and I'm down on one knee, shaking like a leaf, asking her to be mine forever. Sarah's eyes welled up. She said yes, and I swear, I felt like I could have flown home without a plane. Our wedding was like something out of a movie. Beachside in Florida, waves crashing, our families cheering as we vowed to stick together for better or worse. The first few years, all better. We were living the dream. Trips to New York for Broadway shows, hiking in Yellowstone, even a fancy cruise to the Bahamas where we drank way too many piña coladas. Sarah's laugh could light up a room, and her homemade lasagna. Man, it was so good I'd beg for seconds. I'd come home from long days at work, and there she'd be, smiling, with Buddy wagging his tail and a cold beer waiting for me. Life was good. But around year 5, things started to shift. It was subtle at first, like when your car makes a weird noise, but you tell yourself it's nothing. Sarah started pulling these late nights for client projects. "Babe, this deadline's brutal," she'd say, shutting herself in her home office till midnight. I'd nod, kiss her forehead, and crash alone, scrolling Reddit or watching Bears games to unwind. Football's my escape. Shout out to Chicago fans out there. But even that couldn't shake this weird feeling creeping up. Then I started noticing stuff. Her phone was always face down now, buzzing with texts she'd silence real quick. New clothes showed up in her closet, tight dresses, lacy stuff I hadn't seen her wear for me in forever. "Just treating myself," she'd say with a grin. But it didn't feel right. She joined a bougie gym in the city, saying she wanted that beach body back. I'd laugh, tell her, "Babe, you're already a 10. But she'd shrug it off and head out, coming back all sweaty and glowing, like she was living a life I wasn't part of. I tried to brush it off, told myself I was overthinking it. Marriage isn't always fireworks, right? Sometimes it's just comfortable. We still had date nights, deep dish pizza at Giordano's, catching the latest Marvel flick at the AMC downtown. But the spark, it was fading. Our bedroom felt more like a roommate situation than a love story. I'd reach for her at night, and she'd mumble something about being tired. I started wondering, is it me? Am I not enough? By year 7, that nagging feeling turned into a full-on alarm bell. Sarah was distant, always glued to her phone, giggling at messages she wouldn't show me. She'd leave the room to take calls, saying it was work stuff. Work stuff at 10 p.m.? Come on, I'm not dumb. I started paying attention. Her gym bag packed with outfits that didn't scream workout. Her client meetings that lasted way too long. I'd ask, "How's work going?" And she'd give me vague answers like, Oh, same old chaos. I wanted to believe her, but my gut was screaming. One day, I couldn't take it anymore. It was a Thursday, early October, and I decided to do something sweet to reignite that spark. I left work early, stopped by this little flower shop in the Loop, and picked up a bouquet of roses. Her favorite, deep red, like the ones I gave her on our first date. I was nervous, like a teenager all over again, thinking maybe this would remind her of us, of what we had. I even grabbed a bottle of her favorite Pinot Grigio from the store, picturing us laughing over wine and getting back to how things used to be. I got home around 4 p.m., earlier than usual. The house was quiet, no Buddy running to greet me, which was weird. His leash was gone, so I figured Sarah took him for a walk. Perfect, I thought. I'd set up the flowers, chill the wine, and surprise her when she got back. I was grinning like an idiot, arranging the roses in a vase on the kitchen counter, when I heard the front door open. "Mark?" Sarah's voice sounded off, panicked almost. I stepped into the hallway, flowers in hand, ready to say something cheesy like, "Surprise, babe." But then I saw her, and him. There in our living room was Sarah, her hair messy, her lipstick smudged, and standing next to her, holding Buddy's leash, was some guy. Tall, built like he lived at the gym, wearing a tight black tee and a smug look that made my blood boil. Buddy was wagging his tail, clueless, but I felt like the floor dropped out from under me. "Mark, what are you doing home?" Sarah stammered, her face pale. The guy just stood there, shifting his weight, not saying a word. "Who the hell is this?" I asked, my voice low, trying to keep it together. The roses were still in my hand, but I felt like chucking them across the room. "This is Jake," Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper. "He's a friend from the gym." "A friend?" I laughed, but it wasn't funny. "You bring gym friends to our house now? With Buddy?" Jake finally spoke up, all casual like we were chatting at a bar. "Hey man, it's not what you think." "Not what I think?" I snapped, stepping closer. "Then what is it? Because it looks like my wife's got a lot of explaining to do." Sarah's eyes filled with tears, but I wasn't buying it. "Mark, please, let's talk about this alone." "Alone? You're standing in our house with this guy, and you want to talk alone?" My voice was shaking now. I dropped the flowers on the floor, petals scattering everywhere. Buddy whimpered, sensing the tension. Jake put his hands up, like he was trying to calm me down. "Look, dude, I'm just gonna go." "Yeah, you do that," I cut him off. "Get out of my house." He grabbed his jacket and slipped out the door, leaving me and Sarah staring at each other. The silence was deafening. I could hear my heartbeat pounding in my ears. "Mark, I'm so sorry," she started, but I held up a hand. "Don't. Just tell me the truth." "How long?" She looked down, tears spilling over. "A few months," she whispered. "It just happened." "Just happened?" I laughed again, bitter. "You don't just happen to bring some guy into our home. You don't just happen to lie to me every day." I stormed past her, grabbing my keys. I needed air, needed to think. She called after me, "Mark, wait!" But I was already out the door, slamming it behind me. I drove around for hours. No destination, just blasting music to drown out the noise in my head. Springsteen's Born to Run came on, and I cranked it, feeling every word. I ended up at a dive bar on the edge of town, nursing a whiskey, replaying everything. How did we get here? Was it my long hours at work? Did I miss something? Was I not enough for her? When I finally went home, it was past midnight. Sarah was on the couch, eyes red from crying. Buddy was curled up next to her, looking confused. She stood up when I walked in, but I didn't want to hear it. "I'm sleeping in the guest room," I said, walking past her. "We'll talk tomorrow." That night, I barely slept. My mind was racing. Anger, hurt, betrayal, all mixed together. I kept seeing her face, his smug grin, the roses on the floor. By morning, I knew one thing. I couldn't just let this slide. The next day we sat down, and it all came out. Sarah admitted she'd been seeing Jake for 4 months. It started at the gym, innocent at first, spotting each other, grabbing coffee after. But it turned into something more, something she swore she didn't mean to happen. "I was lonely," she said. "You were always working, and I felt like I was losing myself." I wanted to scream that I was working for us, for our future, for the family we talked about. But I just listened, letting her words cut deeper. She said she loved me, that she wanted to fix things. But how do you fix this? How do you rebuild trust when it's shattered like that? We tried counseling. Every Tuesday, we'd sit in a stuffy office with a therapist who kept saying, "Communication is key." But it felt like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. I'd look at Sarah, trying to see the girl I fell in love with. But all I could picture was her with him. I started checking her phone when she wasn't looking, hating myself for it but unable to stop. Every text, every call, felt like a potential landmine. Months passed and we were stuck in this weird limbo. We weren't fighting, but we weren't us either. I threw myself into work, staying late to avoid the tension at home. Sarah quit the gym, said she cut Jake off, but the damage was done. Our house, once full of laughter, felt like a museum of what used to be. One night, over takeout from Lou Malnati's, I looked at her and asked, "Are we just pretending now?" She didn't answer, just stared at her plate. That silence said everything. I moved out a month later, into a small apartment downtown. Buddy stayed with Sarah. I couldn't take him from her, even if it killed me to leave him. The divorce papers came soon after. Signing them felt like signing away half my life. Friends tried to cheer me up, dragging me to Cubs games or bars, but I was numb. I'd scroll through old photos, us at Wrigley Field, grinning at the camera, or on our honeymoon, dancing under the stars. How did we lose that? Now, a year later, I'm rebuilding. I got a new job, started running along Lake Michigan, even went on a couple dates, though it feels weird. Sarah's still in the house. I hear she's seeing someone new. Part of me wishes her well, but another part still stings. I keep the lessons close, though. Trust your gut, don't ignore the signs, and never think you're immune to heartbreak.